Hello and welcome to the Sports Perspective. I'm Hayden Grove.
And I'm Jordan Elwood.
Jordan, Ohio State played what might have been their biggest game of the year on Tuesday.
Absolutely. The Michigan rivalry is always a huge game for the players, but more importantly, for the fans.
I always like to be near the front of the line. I like to heckle the opposing coaches. I sit in pretty much the same seat every single game, so I want to make sure I get that spot. It's right on the edge of the coach's box, so I can yell at them as much as I want to.
On Tuesday, the Ohio State men's basketball team matched up with their biggest rivals in a huge Big Ten game. With all the action from the battle against that team up north, here's our sports director, Franz Ross.
After 3 straight wins and a first-half lead, the Ohio State Buckeyes appeared to have a winning rhythm. However, the Michigan Wolverines pulled ahead in the second half to pull off a double-digit victory of 70-60 here on Super Tuesday.
So, in the first half, as you play in this league, I don't think you ever quite get used to the atmospheres that we find around the league, and they were really good. And once our guys settled down, it shows a lot of high character. We had to stay united. We were still going to make some errors here and there, but we fought through the mistakes we made, and our defense turned around in the second half was really good.
Yeah, we didn't have the execution the way we needed it, and we missed some what I consider pretty good shots, and we backed off a little bit. We weren't in as attack mode as we probably needed to be, and we had some opportunities to finish, and a couple careless turnovers were probably the difference.
We did it in the first half, so we just didn't do it down the stretch. And it's not just, it's not my teammates, it's everyone. We weren't tagging where we were supposed to, probably hugged up a little too much, and we just didn't have the on-ball defense in the second half that we needed to.
One of the key matchups tonight was between point guards Nick Stauskas and Aaron Kraft. Stauskas had the advantage on the night as he led Michigan with 15 points.
Well, there's certain action that we're doing is just keep Kraft the heck out of there. Just get him over there and let the other 4 guys play us. We did that a couple of things, and because he's not going to help off Nick, but he helps and he does some things. He disrupts everything.
Probably one of the best defensive players in the country, and he plays defense with his feet, which is the way defense is supposed to be played. And he's really quick and doesn't fall for a lot of ball fakes. So it's definitely tough going up against him. You got to be patient and confident with the ball.
He's good. It's tough to the way he plays off the ball. He's good at using ball screens, using his body. So it's not a one-on-one type thing. You just have to you have to rely on your teammates. And for the most part, we did a decent job. And when we didn't, he took advantage.
After their heartbreaking loss, the Buckeyes know they still have 6 challenging Big Ten games ahead of them.
We've been here before. We lose a game in overtime on the last second shot, and you go on the road, you get 2. Does that mean you're going to go get another one? No, it doesn't. We've got to look at this and find the things that we've got to continue to get better at.
Man, we got a tough group of guys. I think everybody's going to come in when we come back to practice with a different mentality, and they know that we got another game. So I don't think guys will be down about it tonight, but we got to look forward. We got 6 games up in Big Ten, so we got to be ready for those.
After their 6th loss tonight against Michigan, the Buckeyes will go on the road to Champaign where they will face off against Illinois. Until then, I'm Franz Ross for Buckeye TV.
Before the big game against the Wolverines, the Buckeyes faced the Purdue Boilermakers here in Columbus, and I was there to see if Ohio State could put together their 3rd consecutive victory. Just a week and a half ago, you could say things looked pretty bleak for the Buckeyes, but after their 3rd straight win, the Buckeyes seem to be back on track as they beat Purdue by a final score of 67-49. Yes. The Buckeyes started out pretty cold, missing their first 6 shots from the field, but as their center got going, so did the rest of the team. Amir Williams, who has had a roller coaster season thus far, scored 4 points and had 2 big blocks that propelled Ohio State to a 31-25 halftime lead. In the second half, however, it was all about Lenzel Smith Jr. In what was his 100th career start for Ohio State, Smith made it a very special night as he knocked down 4 3-pointers on his way to 16 points on the evening.
I think early in the game, I got a few mid-ranges to go. Once I saw that go, I tried a 3-ball and it fell for me. And then after that, whether they ran out there on the line or not, I was feeling good already, so it didn't really matter if they were there or not.
Thanks in large part to Lenzel, the Buckeyes shot 50% in the second half and thrashed Purdue with an 18-point victory. Following the game, Smith, who just a week earlier was as upset as he's ever been, was all smiles and feels that the Buckeyes are in a good place both on and off the court.
We're playing for one another. You know, we're lifting each other's up, lifting each other up. Whenever you see a guy, you know, it's not a play. You know, point in case in point. You know, I got a rebound, and before I put the ball down, Shannon was already up the court. When you're playing like that, that's our best basketball. You know, it's kind of like without having to tell each other, we know where each other's going to be, and we just can read each other. When you're playing like that, it's an unstoppable feeling.
While all Big Ten wins are certainly important for the Buckeyes, there was no mistake about where the focus lies in the days ahead.
You know, I'm pretty sure my team is feeling good right now, but, you know, tomorrow is a different day. You know, everybody's probably going to forget about this one, and we got to get ready. We got a great opponent coming in here, you know. They're a great team. They're playing some really good basketball as of late. And, you know, we got to be prepared to play even better basketball if we're going to match that.
The Buckeyes will host the Wolverines right here at the Shot on Tuesday night in prime time. Tip-off is at 9 p.m. For Buckeye TV, I'm Hayden Grove.
When we get back, we'll be looking at National Signing Day, men's hockey, women's basketball, and a whole lot more. Don't go away.
And welcome back to the Sports Perspective. This past week, some of the country's most sought-after high school football players made the decision as to where they will play next fall, and 23 of those players chose to play at Ohio State. Highlighting the clash for the Buckeyes is Raekwon McMillan, a five-star linebacker from Hinesville, Georgia. But McMillan was just one of many highly touted recruits in Ohio State's 2014 class. Along with McMillan, linebacker Dante Booker from Akron, Ohio, comes to Ohio State after being named Ohio's Mr. Football in 2013. Head coach Urban Meyer was instrumental in landing the third-ranked recruiting class, according to Rivals.com, and he said that while he is certainly excited about this class of recruits, there is still a long road of development ahead.
Whenever you lose a good group of players, you have to replace them, and I like our last year's recruiting class, and I really like this year's as well. We signed 23 players. Emphasis is on linebacker. Just going to give you a quick analysis of our roster and where I think the strengths are. There are some obvious strengths and weaknesses, but the linebacker position is one that's we're going through an overhaul right now, and that's far too many mistakes have been made, and either lack of development or whatever, and it's just not where we need to be. And so there's 4 linebackers that have been recruited: Raekwon McMillan, Sam Hubbard, Kyle Berger, and Dante Booker, and those are all 4 guys that I'm putting pressure on them, on Coach Fickle, and on myself to get them ready to play next year. They have to play for us.
After splitting a series with Michigan State in January, the Ohio State men's hockey team traveled to East Lansing to take on the Spartans in another 2-game set. In Game 1, Ohio State was all but defeated before pulling off an incredible comeback, scoring 2 goals in the final 2 minutes, including one with 1.7 seconds left to send it into overtime. Riding the momentum from the unlikely comeback, the Buckeyes went on to win the shootout and take 2 points in Game 1. Game 2 was very similar to the nail-biter played the night before. Again, the Buckeyes found themselves down 2-1 in the third period, and again, they found a way to tie the game, as junior Matt Johnson sent one into the net and took the game to overtime. Just as the night before, the Buckeyes rode the momentum to a second consecutive shootout win, and Ohio State earned 4 points in the weekend series.
While this week was littered with men's basketball action, the women's team took on Penn State at the Shot as well. And once again, I was there to take it all in. After playing one of the best halves of the season, the Ohio State women's basketball team fell cold in the second half and lost to the Penn State Nittany Lions by a final score of 74-54. Coming out hot at the beginning, the Buckeyes held a 5-point lead in the first half before letting Penn State rally back and take a 38-36 lead heading into halftime. Despite the 2-point halftime deficit, however, the Lady Buckeyes were confident going into the locker room, thanks in large part to their 12 free throws and their 4 of 10 shooting percentage from behind the arc.
I think the first half is just a great example of us just when we're clicking and we're all together, we can play with anybody. And I think that's what's most frustrating about this game is that when we play well, we can play with the best one, and when we don't, we'll get beat by anybody. So,
while the first half proved a great one for Ohio State, the second half was certainly the opposite. The Nittany Lions outscored the Buckeyes by 18 in the second half, as Ohio State shot just 25% from the floor and missed 12 of their 13 three-point attempts.
You know, we turned it. The one thing, I think from a mental standpoint, we had way too many turnovers, and they really made us pay in transition. That was a huge stat. think, I don't think today was a lack of physical effort or want to. Mentally, like I said, when we made mistakes, usually we result in turnovers, which they made us pay. And then we had opportunities to make shots, we just make them.
Following the game, junior Amy Scullion was trying to figure out how to replicate the first half for each game of the rest of the season.
I wish I had that answer, because I think if we could figure that out, we could play like that all the time. It just seems like when we're making shots, everything flows nicely for us. But I felt like everyone was very focused and concentrated, especially on the defensive end in the first half, and then of course we were making shots, so it was easy. It seemed like the game was easy.
The Lady Buckeyes will get some time off before heading to East Lansing to take on the Michigan State Spartans next week. For Buckeye TV, I'm Hayden Grove. Here's your Sochi 2014 Winter Olympic update. As of February 11th, Norway leads the medal count with 11, including 4 golds. Also near the top of the pack is Canada with 9 medals, the Netherlands with 8, and America with 7. America only has 2 gold medalists so far, Sage Kotzenberg and Jamie Anderson, both for snowboarding. Next week, there will be a number of exciting events, including alpine skiing, snowboarding, and speed skating.
Coming off their wins against MSU, the men's hockey team returns to the Schottenstein Center this weekend as they face off against Wisconsin in a weekend series. The first match will be at 7:05 on Friday, while the second will be at 8 on Saturday. The men's basketball will journey up to Champaign on Saturday, where they will face off against Illinois in an 8 o'clock game. Next Wednesday at 7, they will be back in Columbus, where you can see them take on the Northwestern Wildcats. For the first time in many months, the baseball team will be back in action this weekend as it will play 4 games in the Snowbird Classic. The Buckeyes are set to play UConn, Auburn, and Indiana State. So Hayden, I just mentioned that baseball's back in action. How do you think the team will do in 2014?
It'll really be interesting to see. I think they lost 12 players this past season and gained 16 new ones, so we'll have to see how it turns out. I'm just glad baseball is back. Thanks so much for tuning in this week.
Be sure to like Buckeye TV on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Thanks and have a good evening.